my shorts.
What is
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dave Lee Down Under podcast. I am, of course, your host, Dave Lee, and this is episode 1. That's right, episode 1. But technically, it's the second one we've recorded. The first one we did was like a pilot episode, but this is episode 1, the debut episode. I'm so excited about this. Woo! All right, welcome to the show. This show is going to be going up every single Monday on all podcasting platforms. Well, maybe not all. Maybe not all of them. I'm trying to get this podcast on all the major podcasting platforms. So Apple Music, Apple Podcasts as it's called now, Spotify and Google Podcasts. But I'm having a little bit of trouble with Google. I don't know what's going on there. A little bit. They sent me an email. They said, oh yeah, your podcast's up. It's live. People can search for it. People can listen to it. It's there. Your podcast's there. But when I went to search it, it's not coming up. And they don't know what the hell's going on. I can't find it either. And they can't figure it out. No one can. I don't know what's happening. But the funny thing is, when I go into like the analytics of my podcast, who's listening and stuff, it says 2 people have listened on Google Podcasts. So
who are these 2 people?
I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand. But anyway, the plan is to get across all major podcasting platforms, and we will keep you up to date on the Google situation. There'll also be a video element which goes up on YouTube, and if you are a patron supporter, that episode will go out to you guys 2 days earlier. So on the Saturday, you get exclusive access to that for 2 days before the main podcast goes live to absolutely everybody on YouTube and on all the podcasting platforms. Which is cool. Very, very exciting. Of course, you can find me on YouTube at Dave Lee Down Under, over at Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Just search for me. I will pop up over there. If you want to write into the show, you can shoot an email over to daveleepod@gmail.com. It's a new email address.
A new one. Distinguish that from the other 45 or whatever it is you've got.
I know. I have too many emails. But the funny thing is, I get inundated on the main email. I do, I have it on all my socials, but I do try to say, if possible, please just keep it to like business inquiries or just like stuff, that kind of stuff. But occasionally you do get someone just emailing in, wanting to have a chat or something. I had this one guy recently, actually only a few days ago, started sending me evolution requests, cartoon evolution. Which on
what, email?
On the email. I mean,
just another platform for him.
I get them everywhere. I get them on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, in the comments, everywhere. I get just constantly inundated with them. And suddenly someone's sending them to me on the email. And the funny thing was, he sent me this email, and it must have been late because I was in bed when it came through. And then I hadn't replied after an hour, so he forwarded the email back to me. Hoping that I was going to reply that way, or maybe he didn't get it. I don't know. Look, I appreciate it. I know that people are very passionate about the Evolution series, and I love that. But I get so many of these cartoon evolution things. But I just thought if people wanted to contact me specifically for the podcast, there is an email there, daveleepod@gmail.com. Send through whatever you want. Maybe not evolution requests because we're not really talking about the Evolution series on here. But look, today, sitting on my right, if you're listening, you won't see him sitting there, but you'll be hearing him. He is, of course, Old Mate Rick.
G'day, guys. How you doing?
Very exciting.
Hope everyone's nice and healthy and safe. And
yes, we do. We do.
Whatever.
In these crazy times, as they still are. They were
enjoying life,
last
hopefully.
time, yeah. Now, I do have to introduce you again. Again, because I feel like every time, for those who aren't regular viewers of the YouTube or are like fairly regular viewers of the YouTube. Old Mate Rick used to make regular appearances when I was doing vlogs and stuff. I don't really tend to do vlogs and stuff all that much anymore. But every time you used to come on, people would ask, "Who is this Old Mate Rick?"
I think there was one ages ago that thought we were partners.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I do remember that. No,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But this is my father.
I'm the old boy.
The old boy right here.
I'm sort of responsible for this.
Yes.
Piece of work here.
So yes, I do. I sent out a thing, a thing on the YouTube community board, asking people for questions, and I had someone ask, "Who's Old Mate Rick?" And I had it on the actual video of the podcast too last week when we explained it. But yeah, I don't know. This is my dad, old mate Rick, and he's here to join the ride for the first few episodes. We will have rotating cast of guests and stuff like that. So that'll be
it's a little difficult at the moment with lockdown and COVID.
And just kind of ease into all this and whatever. But it's going to be good. But we love having old mate Rick here talking shit and stuff.
And he speaks a lot of shit.
I speak a lot of shit. And this podcast is essentially a conduit for me to speak that shit because
it's a conduit to speak about a lot of stuff that you don't speak about on your channel.
Well, exactly right, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that either doesn't perform well or stuff that I just want to talk about that I just never find the right kind of avenue to talk about on the YouTube. But we've got a good avenue here on the podcast, and hopefully it's going to go very well. I've been up since 2 a.m. this morning, by the way. It's 11 a.m. It's 11:30 a.m. now. So if it's
scratchy,
if it's scratchy, if I'm stumbling a bit, it's because I've been up since 2 a.m. I did like a press junket thing for Disney Plus. A couple of the shows, they offered me interviews with some of the cast for the film Secret Society of Second Born Royals, which I think goes live in at the end of the month. Earth to Ned, which goes up today at the time of recording this. So I've done some interviews and stuff, and they'll go live on the channel over the next week. But so yeah, I have been up since 2 a.m. I got a little bit of sleep, so that's all right. But we haven't had an eventful week. We had a few power outages.
Oh, let's go down that path again. My God.
We tend to have a lot of power outages here. I don't know why. Maybe we're just realising it more that we're home.
No. It's been like it forever. It's been like it forever. We get so many outages. It's not funny. We would get at least one a month, at least. And this week we've had 3.
It's crazy, like that. And it was obviously we had a big planned one. Well, probably about a month ago, it was like a planned outage where they had to fix some poles or something. And they had warned us like a month prior, and we'd forgotten about it. And the power goes off at like 9 a.m. Like, oh, shit. I hadn't planned. I wasn't able to do work or anything, so like a whole day written off. And then the other day, it was like almost like 12 o'clock on the dot. They switched the power off again without warning to fix another pole.
But the sort of thing about that first one, the planned outage was, it went out at about 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. or something like that, and it was due to be out until about 5 p.m.
Yeah,
it came back on at 12:30.
Yeah,
it came back on about 12:30.
Yeah,
and then went back out again.
Yeah.
And then we find out that they'd actually damaged something after they'd made the repair.
Yeah. Oh my god!
And then we saw them down on the corner from our street doing a repair. They were up in a bucket.
Yeah.
And then when they were coming down from the bucket, they took out a power line that went into the house across the road. I just thought, oh my God, these people.
It was a disaster.
So we were out until about, what was that, till about 4 p.m. or something.
Something like that. Yeah, just in time to go and get our dinner from the fish and chip shop.
Yeah, that's
right. Who were or pizza or whatever it was. But yeah, so we had another one this week. It just went out midday, so I lost half a day's work. And then the next day, I don't know what happened, but we had 2 like mini outages, like within the space of about half an hour, which was like it was almost like they flicked the switch and then flicked it back on.
Oh shit! Wrong switch!
And then when you're editing something, like I'm editing away, and then it switches off, and you lose like half an hour's worth of work. It's just a pain in the ass. So that's been eventful week in lockdown. Lockdown stories. Maybe that's a new segment on the show. But let's get into like the movie news and stuff. I didn't really want to start our very first episode on like I guess a bit of a downer, but this is, I guess, it's something that we do have to address. And of course, that was the passing of Chadwick Boseman.
How sad!
Awful.
Just terrible news. That one.
Like, we were in here watching a movie or something on Sunday afternoon, and I was just on Instagram, and I saw the post because his family put up the post where they announced his passing, and I'm just reading it like I don't believe it. Like my initial thought was, this is not right. I would get halfway through the statement and have to go back to the top to make sure, am I actually reading this? Because there was a number of Twitter hacks not long ago. So they'd hacked into, I don't think they'd actually hacked the accounts of these people, they'd hacked Twitter and then through Twitter compromised the accounts of like Jeff Bezos and all these like big like billionaires and stuff, saying, "Oh, we're going to give away money. Give us your information." So I just thought, well, maybe this is just some like crazy hoax. Like, remember that hoax where where apparently Jeff Goldblum had fallen off a cliff or something?
Yeah, that's right.
You just don't know these days, especially something that just comes out of nowhere. Like, this is a guy who kept his illness so secret, and it's something he'd been suffering for 4 years.
Yeah.
2016.
Right. 2016 he was diagnosed.
And to read it, like the family statement says, it is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was denied with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many films you've come to love so much. And then rattles off a bunch of movies that he filmed while he was sick.
While he was ill, yeah.
And like I would get halfway through and have to, this is not right. This is not real. But it eventually became quite evident that yes, this was actually legit. Once all the trades and stuff started posting about it, that's when you go, oh shit, like that's crazy. Like,
well, I think I was in here, and you came in and told me, surely it's not right. Can't be right.
Yeah, no, and I just one of those ones that just kind of just hit you. Like I don't often get, and I'd say you're probably the same. Don't often get hit by celebrity deaths that hard.
Yeah. Depends on who it is, I suppose.
Depending who it is.
Robin Williams was one.
Well, yeah, I think
for me, John Lennon was one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Back in the day.
I think there's only a very few that have hit me, and one is definitely Robin Williams. Still real sad about that one. I mean, there wasn't a day when I was a kid that, or at least a week where I wasn't watching a Robin Williams film. Flubber or Mrs. Doubtfire or Bicentennial Man or Jack or, any of those great movies. So that really hit me, and I still struggle to watch his films now. It makes me really sad. Carrie Fisher was one that really just hit me as well. Steve Irwin was a big one in Australia. Heath Ledger.
Yeah. But Heath Ledger was a tough one to take because being so young and...
Well, it's similar to the Boseman situation, isn't it? Just young. Well,
what was he? 43
something like that. Yeah. It's crazy, but
so
yeah,
sad.
But yeah, this is just one of those ones that just really hit you, and I think it's hit a lot of people as well. I think and
it was just at a point in his life when he was really coming into his own, and he was really showing his talent and how good he was, and it's just really sad for him and his family and those close to him. That we lose someone with such great talent and
insane talent. And I mean, like Black Panther is huge for us because we're big Marvel
fans.
Well,
they were writing the next script, weren't they?
He's writing the next script. Well, yeah, Ryan Coogler, the director and writer of Black Panther, was writing the second film.
For him.
So
he didn't know.
No one at Marvel knew. This is the thing. This has come out with the Hollywood Reporter yesterday that, I mean, like, one of the things you kind of think is like, well, surely he must have tipped someone off at the studio for them to, plan in case what happens. But no, he didn't tell anyone. It's something like, it was like a very small handful of people that knew, which was like his agent, his family, some director, someone that was like a very, very small handful of people outside of his immediate family that knew.
Incredible.
And I think they're saying it's probably because he knew that if he told people, he knew he wouldn't be able to achieve the greatness that he did.
And they'd probably treat him differently too.
Oh, yeah.
And he probably didn't want that.
No,
nobody really wants that in that situation.
Oh, no, exactly right. But it's almost like, well, would he have the role of Black Panther? Well, he probably would because he did Civil War, which was, when did that come out? 2016 or something. So that's around the same time as his diagnosis. So he was in the role. But then you kind of think like, people would have pity on him. Would they look at his performances differently because they knew he had cancer? But every role that he took on had some sort of weight to it, some sort of historical meaning. Of course, Jackie Robinson, he played in 42, incredible film.
Brilliant film.
He played James Brown in Get On Up,
which
was
right.
awesome as well, fantastic. He did Spike Lee's recent film, The Five Bloods, which we haven't seen yet.
Not yet, no.
But apparently that's really good as well. Really, emotional, impactful film. And, of course, Black Panther. I mean, like, being one of the first, like, major black superheroes of this kind of stature to be on the screen. and to have such an impact on young kids and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But this guy, in such a short amount of time, like it's a space of like 4 or 5, 6 years, the amount he achieved is crazy. And you kind of think, what else would he achieved? You know,
exactly right.
Like
it's like a lot of them, there's that, what is it, 27 group, what is it?
23 or something.
No, 27 or 28 or something like that, where you got Kurt Cobain and all those
River
people.
Phoenix and all that.
Yeah, River Phoenix and Amy Winehouse. Like all those people died at the same age, and it's like, what would they have achieved? And John Lennon, 40 years old, what would he have? What more would he have achieved?
Yeah. Well, you think about the Beatles. What was it? 6 year space. That entire Beatles discography is recorded over the space of 6 years or something.
Oh, like the best part of, so maybe 7 years. Yeah.
And just the amount of output they had, but so many. It's hard when one of these people, someone that's so young and so talented and someone so impactful passes. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know if I've really seen a lot of his earlier work, and I don't know if it was really that memorable, really, if I have.
What's that? Chadwick Boseman?
Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, really? Yeah. All it was Get On Up and the Jackie Robinson film, 42. Yeah. That's really it. And from there, like, he made such a huge... I'm sure there were probably a couple of other films that have escaped me at the moment, but just the amount of stuff he's done, and he was incredibly talented.
Unbelievably talented. Right. For a guy to burst onto the scene, well, we say burst on the scene. I mean, that at the age of when he seemed to have burst on, would have been 37, 38, something like that. There was a lot of work gone into those other 37 or 38 years of his life, So no one really ever bursts onto the scene, but he just seemed to sort of come from nowhere, and he was an incredibly talented actor.
Very,
and just a. And then the thing that gets me is that you see photos of him or images of him in Black Panther and stuff, and here's this guy that's got this incredible physique and he's really well built and keeps himself really well. Yeah. And at that point, he was ill.
Oh yeah, well that's the crazy.
And they
thing,
caught it late too, didn't they? They caught it.
Well, he was stage 3 when that's what it said in the statement when they found out he had it. So he was fairly well progressed in the illness. So he's been struggling with that, and they said even in the statement that the films that he did were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. Oh my God. So this entire time essentially the entire time we've seen him on screen, he's been ill, and for the big chunk of it, he's known about it, and that is almost like you get this sort of when someone's here. And you know that they're a great actor, you appreciate them. But once they're gone and you start learning all these other things, they almost become more, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It just shows how human they are and how much of a great human they must have been.
But like this crazy thing is he's doing these big action films, crazy stunts in really good shape, and all the while doing chemotherapy and stuff, and he's going and visiting kids in hospitals, kids with cancer in hospitals while he has cancer.
That's an incredible drive, isn't it?
Oh, insane.
Incredible drive.
It just shows what an incredible person
he
was.
I suppose to leave a legacy in some regards.
Yeah.
And do something for the black community and stuff like that. And and it was great to see and to see a guy in that situation and do what he did in that what seemed to be a short amount of time, leave such a legacy for his people was just really heartwarming.
Amazing.
And it almost brings a tear to your eye. Well, almost does.
For sure. Well, it was a very, very sad one. Some great statements came out. I mean, Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios president, Chadwick's passing is absolutely devastating. He was our T'Challa, our Black Panther, and our dear friend. Each time he stepped on set, he radiated charisma and joy, and each time he appeared on screen, he created something truly indelible, embodied a lot of amazing people in his work, and nobody was better at bringing great men to life. Michael B. Jordan, of course, who played Eric Killmonger alongside him in Black Panther, but they were, longtime friends. He posted an incredible, like a really long statement.
One of my favourite actors at the moment.
Yeah, he's
love
incredible as well.
Absolutely love him.
He wrote an enormous statement, and I will be doing it a dishonour by truncating that. But you can find that over on, I think he posted that on Instagram or something like that. One that came from DC Comics was fantastic. To a hero who transcends universes, Wakanda forever, rest in power, Chadwick. Like, how good's that for that?
Beautiful.
And Ryan Coogler, as I said before, director of Black Panther, put out a really beautiful statement. It was a huge one as well, just like a really long sort of, I think it went out in the trade papers actually, and he says, I haven't grieved a loss this acute before. I spent last year preparing, imagining and writing words for him to say that we weren't destined to see. It leaves me broken knowing that I won't be able to watch another close-up of him in the monitor again. I'll walk up to him and ask for another take. So yeah, I think they're all really interesting ones. Well, he says at the end of this, I thought this was quite powerful. In African cultures, we often refer to loved ones that have passed on as ancestors. Sometimes you are genetically related, sometimes you are not. I had the privilege of directing scenes of Chad's character T'Challa communicating with the ancestors of Wakanda, but it's with a heavy heart and sense of deep gratitude to have ever been in his presence that I have to reckon with the fact that Chad is an ancestor now. And I know that he'll watch over us until we meet again. So some amazing, really amazing statements there that you can go and check out on the internet and stuff.
You're going to have a hard time replacing him.
Oh, for sure. And that brings us, I guess, to the next thing. While most of us were kind of grieving the news of Chadwick, some people were trying to, I guess, capitalize on it. Trash journalism, as I like to call it. Trash rags, gutter journalism, dodgy news outlets, whatever you want to pick. So there were a lot of amazing tributes that came out, but some of these so-called journalists kind of really showed true colours. Firstly, Looper. There's a YouTube channel called Looper. They post just like movie videos, like whether it's rankings or top whatevers or just random little news bits and stuff. These were all posted over the space of 4 days, starting on the day of his death. Looper starts posting videos on the day of his death and continues uninterrupted for 4 days. These are the videos that they post. Celebs react to Chadwick Boseman's heartbreaking death. That's the first video they put up. This will be Chadwick Boseman's final movie. What no one knew about Chadwick Boseman's death. This was Chadwick Boseman's final message on Twitter. What you probably never knew about Chadwick Boseman. The new Chadwick Boseman project that had just been announced. The MCU reacts to Chadwick Boseman's death. And Denai Guerrera's heartbreaking tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And posted just yesterday, after they took a day's break off posting Chadwick Boseman videos, the 7 movies Chadwick Boseman made while fighting cancer. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos across the space of like 4 or 5, 6 days.
It's nuts.
I mean, it's okay to like talk about it and whatever, and maybe I guess address it.
Oh, we're talking about it now,
like we're doing now. But to just like milk something like that for clicks, I think is just disgraceful. What I think was the most disgraceful one is this article. I'm sure everyone has heard about this. This article that went up on Screen Rant within hours, literally within hours of the death being announced. And the article was titled, "Can Black Panther Still Happen? Marvel's Options Without Chadwick Boseman." It had the byline, "Following the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman, Marvel Studios will have to figure out what to do with Black Panther 2. Here are some options."
Oh, they're giving options too now.
They're giving options, and this is within, I swear, this is like within 3 or 4 hours of it actually being announced. So how many people has this gone, how many sets of eyes has this gone through? Firstly, you've got the journalist who wrote this, who has heard this news of Chadwick Boseman's death and then gone to, oh shit, I need to write. I need to get typing. Quick, get typing. And then for him to write it up and then have it published within the space of like 3 or 4 hours, it has to have gone through an editor. It has to have gone through who knows how many sets of eyes, or who knows, Screen Rant might be just lazy and just letting their journalists publish stuff or what. Yeah. I don't know how it works. But they obviously realized that they had made they had made a mistake, because instead of it's okay to publish an article saying he's passed away, whatever, that's respectful, but to be recasting his role,
yeah, exactly,
bit
disrespectful.
Shit, what the hell? Like the first thing, I understand the need and the desire to be first with things on YouTube and stuff. That's almost how these outlets operate these days. But there are cases where you need to put humanity and empathy before anything else, before wanting to get clicks, before wanting to monetize or anything like this. So me personally, I heard the news. I wasn't going to make a video or anything like that. I know some people did make videos, tributes and stuff. A lot of people make demonetized videos and stuff. That's fine. I didn't. The first thing I thought was not, let's make a video about it. No. It's this is fucking sad. This is awful. Hit me hard. But they obviously realized pretty quickly that maybe this is a bit of bad taste, and they changed the name of the article. They didn't take the article down. They changed the title of the article, and they took the journalist's name off the article, and they changed it to What Chadwick Boseman's Death Means for Black Panther 2. But they kept the byline the same.
How does it make it any different?
It doesn't make it any different.
It doesn't make it any different.
It makes it a little softer, what Chadwick Boseman's death means, but it makes no difference. The wording's softer, but it's the impact's the same. Exactly. And they kept the byline the same, which had that, here are some options, right? So eventually, Screen Rant ripped the article down and replaced it with an article called Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther actor, dies at age 43, which is what it should have been in the first place, right?
Exactly.
So if you actually...
pay tribute to the guy, not sort of stamp on his legacy.
Not recast his role and tell, this is what Marvel needs to do. These are our... Oh, no, what's going to happen to our movies? I think it's okay to kind of have that thought. Obviously it's going to pass your mind. You hear it, and one of the things you think is oh, shit, well, okay, well, what's happening with the movie now? But it's just a passing thing. It's not something where... I had the thought. It was well, what happens next?
I think we spoke about it.
We spoke about it
what will they do,
what's going to happen now? Well, I don't know. I'm not even going to ruminate on it. I'm certainly not going to go and make a video about it. Hey, guys, Chadwick Boseman has just passed away. What's Marvel going to do? No, that's just so stupid. So eventually, they did rip it down and all that. They put out a statement following the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman. An article went up on Screen Rant overnight that was well-intentioned, but was not respectful to the trauma and heartbreak we are all feeling in this moment. This should not have happened and has been removed. We are sorry. The journalist even came out on Twitter. I'm going to spare his name because it's out there, but I don't, I'm not really like that. I don't really want to rag on the guy. But he wrote, I woke up this morning to a flood of tweets and DMs in response to an article I wrote last night about what Marvel's options are with Black Panther 2 following the sudden death of Boseman. Couldn't even give him the decency of calling him Chadwick Boseman. But anyway, maybe that just falls within the Twitter limit. Even though I feel the article was written in a respectful way, so essentially saying, well, I think it's fine.
He thought it was okay.
Yeah. Even though I feel the article was written in a respectful way, I understand the backlash. Although some of the damage has already been done, the article has been taken down. I'm sorry for any role I inadvertently played in causing more pain at a time when we're all still figuring out how to process it. Is this a real apology? Or is this someone actually apologising for what they've done or apologising because they've been called out?
Apologising because you got called out.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
And if you look at the comments...
Because if there wasn't, people hadn't have jacked up about it and
no way.
It would have been outraged. It wouldn't have been pulled down.
No.
Title wouldn't have changed.
No way.
It would have stayed up.
And if you actually look at his thread where he posted this apology in inadvertent commas, he posted this bloody apology thing, right? There's heaps of people just ragging him like, you're not sorry.
Yeah.
And this guy's saying, I'm so new to the journalist game. I'm so new to it. I'm so fresh. I'm still learning the ropes. I'm still making mistakes. And you know what? As a journalist or content creators, we all make mistakes from time to time. I've made a lot in my time doing whatever, whether it's on this platform, YouTube, it's on, community television or anything. We make a shitload of mistakes. But this is not a mistake. It's just not a mistake that one should make. You shouldn't have to make such a stupid, unempathetic mistake like this to learn that empathy?
It's okay to put an article like that up, but give it time.
Oh, exactly right. There's a time and a place to talk about
Give it a couple of weeks, give it a month, whatever it needs to be, and then say, okay, now what does this mean?
Now what's going to happen? Well, it's obviously...
Allow family and close friends and stuff, and even public who adored his work, give them time to grieve and get over it. You know, and, well, you won't get over it, obviously, but it's hard to get over it.
Get over that initial shock of it,
yeah, exactly. But then you can sort of do it in the cold, light-hearted day. You can just process it properly and give it time, and then in time you can actually then go, okay, well, what does this mean?
Well, obviously it's something that Marvel and Disney are going to have to
do. That's right.
Address, and obviously it will be something that fans kind of, well, okay, what's happening next? But no, not like 2 or 3 hours after he's died. That's crazy. And like I said, there was actually that article in Hollywood Reporter that insinuates that Disney and Marvel are in panic stations already, trying to figure out what's happening. But obviously I don't think they'll move too quickly.
I wouldn't have thought so either.
But that movie, I think the next one was due out next year, 2021 or something, or 2022 or something. So they were supposed to start shooting like within 3 or 4 months. And that same article, Hollywood Reporter, actually said that a source had told them that he thought he was actually going to be well enough to film it and put all the weight back on and stuff in the next 2 months. So it just shows fighting spirit right to the end. But yeah, like these crazy articles, I don't know. I think, I don't know.
No. But in the end of the day, as long as you do what you need to do and, like be respectful and all that sort of stuff to this sort of situation, well then...
Yeah. It was great. It was great to see everyone taking a stand against it. I mean, they were getting absolutely slammed on Twitter. It's crazy. I've never seen a backlash like that. And
really?
Good. Like, yeah, it was good. It was good.
That's good, yeah.
I mean, we can't stand for this gutter journalism anymore.
No, there's enough of it about it.
You know. But I think the only way we can really end that is just to say Wakanda forever.
Well, exactly.
Wakanda forever.
And he will be really, really sorely missed.
Very much so. Very, very sad. I mean, not just Black Panther, all the other roles he would have taken. Yeah, incredible stuff.
But he'll be loved and missed forever. That's for sure.
There's been another Disney franchise star has been in the news. Picking up the tone a little bit here. Well, sort of. You're all right there? You're just choking on your water?
Yeah, just a little bit. We got a cough button or something.
Yeah, you just slide your microphone down. You right? Yeah? Yeah, you right? Okay, there you go.
Sorry about that. I just... something in the throat there. It's a
little bit of water. As we said, it's going to be a bit raw. These first few episodes where we're learning the intricacies of the mixer board and everything. But yeah, another Disney star has made the news over the last couple of days.
Boyega.
John Boyega has spoken out on his treatment by Disney and Lucasfilm during his time making the Star Wars trilogy. Now, he's made it very well known recently at his disappointment with Disney and the treatment of his character, Finn, in the last couple of Star Wars films. But it's usually been like really cryptic stuff like him and Oscar Isaac, just having a little banter on Twitter or Instagram, or just little silly little bits and pieces, or that's just little things in interviews,
little sniper,
little snide remarks and stuff like that. There was one there was one Instagram post. Someone tagged him in an Instagram post and said, "Force Finn in action with green lightsaber, dressed in black, is all I want from the next Star Wars film." And he replied to it saying, "Lol, no thank you, I've moved on." Right, so he's been pretty vocal about this, but this is the first time he's actually majorly came out and just blasted Disney and blasted Lucasfilm. So he said, I'll read a little bit of it. It's important to get the context of this too. So he says it's so difficult to maneuver. You get yourself involved in projects and you're not necessarily going to like everything. But what I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. Like you guys know, you guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver. You knew what to do with these other people. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, you know fuck all. So what do you want me to say? what they want you to say is, I enjoyed being part of it. It was a great experience. Nah. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver and the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows this. I'm not exposing anything. He goes on to say, nobody else in the cast had people saying they were going to boycott the movie because they were in it. Nobody else had the uproar and death threat sent to their Instagram, DMs, and social media saying, black this, black that, and you shouldn't be a stormtrooper. Nobody else had that experience, but yet people are surprised that I'm this way. That's my frustration. So essentially, if you remember, actually he called J.J. Abrams' work on Rise of Skywalker a salvage job, which is essentially obviously in reference to, I feel like Rise of Skywalker really just like belly flopped for the trolls that were just like the really toxic people who were just being real dicks about Last Jedi. Again, have your opinion, that's fine. If you didn't like it, that's totally fine. If you loved it, that's also fine. But there was a lot of people out there, a lot of really toxic shit.
And a lot of the actors got trolled too.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kelly Marie Tran left social media because racial abuse on Instagram and stuff. Even Daisy Ridley left Instagram because she was getting harassed because she was a woman leading Star Wars. And then they do stuff like this, which is push these characters to the back. They pushed Finn to the back. They pushed Rose to the back, and it just really felt like, all right, we're just gonna, belly flop for all the people who didn't like it and just appease everybody. So yeah, the Rise of Skywalker salvage job. That was actually, I'm not sure if he said that specifically, but they inferred that in the GQ article. They called the JJ's work a salvage job on that. So I don't really want to put words in his mouth if that's not too correct. But yeah, so if you remember when they did The Force Awakens, the big marketing push behind that film was big posters of John Boyega. So there's this new lead Jedi. Big posters was John Boyega's face, the blue lightsaber, and you're like, shit, this is our new Jedi. It's going to be awesome. And then obviously that was like to not spoil the twist in the film that Daisy Ridley's Rey was actually the lead character of the film, which is great because you've got a female leading the franchise. So that is in one respect, giving the equality to the females. But then what John Boyega here is saying is that they're doing that at the expense of going, hey, look, you're going to have a black lead in Star Wars, and then gradually push him further to the back over the course of 3 movies. GQ adds, and again, this is to give context, to dismiss these words as merely professional bitterness or paranoia is to miss the point. His primary motivation is to show the frustrations and difficulties of trying to operate within what can feel like a permanently rigged system. He's trying really to let you know what it feels like to have a boyhood dream ruptured by the toxic realities of the world. Right, and then he posted on Twitter, John Boyega, after people started talking about this article. These conversations and me sharing isn't about a witch hunt. It's about clarity to an anger that can be seen as selfishness, disruptive, and self-indulgent. Obviously, in hopes of better change. Bruh. In short, I said what I said. Love to you all. Seriously, your support is amazing. So as I said, it needs the context. The article's very long. It's important to read the whole thing, but I've tried to give as much context as I can. I guess the question that does arise out of this initially is this a professional thing to do? Is he biting the hand that feeds him? Getting the context there, I think you kind of think, well, in some respect, if like in a normal situation, you'd probably think, well, you don't do that because you'll never get work with Disney ever again.
He's probably burnt bridges.
Yeah, but then you read the context, and it's almost like he just doesn't care
about it. Yeah,
and he has said this in the past, and like he was on the front lines of the Black Lives Matters protests in London, and even there he said, if I don't ever get a job in Hollywood ever again, I don't care. So it's sort of that Chadwick Boseman thing, which is like just head on, just want to make a stand and make a statement with my work, no matter the cost.
Yeah, sounds it. Well, it sounds. Look, we obviously don't know the frustrations that he has.
No, exactly right. Yeah.
Because we're
a couple of white guys on a podcast.
A couple of white guys on a podcast. Yeah. That's right. so we don't know the frustrations that he would have had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to sort of say. I don't know. It's really hard to comment on it.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know what's going through his mind and
right.
why he's doing it. Now, my thought is that he would have read the script and he would have known what the movie was about.
Yeah, but I think more so it would be you've signed on for Star Wars, and because they were making these movies on as they went along, they were making these up as they went along. They didn't have like that grand plan, that grand arc that they should have had. It was just sort of like, all right, JJ, you do this part, and then, Ryan Johnson, you come in, you do whatever you want to do with that, and then, oh, shit, we've pissed everyone off. JJ, you come back in and try and fix it up. So I don't even know if there would have been a full script for Force Awakens when he signed on. I think someone like, really any actor would just be like, shit, yeah, I'm going to sign on for Star Wars. I think you'd probably have a decent idea of it. But that first film, Force Awakens, had such a really good arc for Finn.
Yeah, it did.
Like this stormtrooper that abandons the Empire to go on this journey of self-discovery and being part of that next new resistance. And even if he had seen the script or knew the thing, the synopsis before he signed on, I mean, how good's that? Like, that opens up all these great possibilities for this, this stormtrooper who has abandoned the Empire and then goes on to maybe become a Jedi. I mean, the film, Force Awakens, showed signs that he might have been Force positive that really went nowhere.
Yeah.
So read that.
But you got to wonder, was that intentional by?
Well, yeah, exactly right.
By Disney or Lucasfilms, or is it something that just happened by matter of course? Because did they feel that character wasn't going to go anywhere? Although we enjoyed the character and most people who enjoyed the film enjoyed that character probably.
Yeah.
Did the filmmakers actually think, we might have taken the wrong path with this character and we don't think it's going to work?
That's possible.
You don't know.
Well, exactly right. There's so many things you got to weigh up.
You don't know whether it was an intentional thing.
Doubt exactly right. You just never know. I do feel like Daisy Ridley, Rey, was the protagonist the whole way from the beginning. But I think obviously the big issue is them using that other character to then further something else.
Yeah.
So it is something that is tough to comment on. It's a tricky subject, but I wanted to talk about it because it is a big thing. Like, you don't often see someone speaking out like this. Obviously, he's off contract now. That movie came out. The last Star Wars film came out in December last year. He has obviously no interest in revisiting Star Wars again. He's got 6 other projects in various stages of production.
The long run, I don't think it's going to hurt him too much.
I don't think so at all.
I think he's probably getting a lot of kudos.
Oh yeah, for sure,
for doing it.
For sure. I think that's like the society we're in now is like someone would have been blacklisted for doing this.
Most definitely.
Even 10 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But I think we're in a more obviously it's more these times.
More accepting, maybe?
More accepting, yeah. And I think people are more willing to look into issues and actually going, okay, well, what are we doing wrong and how can we fix it? As opposed to brush it under the rug, he's spoken out against us, whatever. But, I don't know if there was any, ill will against John in particular or the character, whether it's just creative things. You just don't know what's going on and you don't want to speak out of turn on, either side. But, yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing. But like I said, 6 projects in various stages of production listed on his IMDb page, so he's fine.
Yeah, he'll be.
He's got his own.
He's got his own agenda and his own. Yeah. What he's fighting for, and good on him. And he needs to do that if he needs to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, as I said, I don't believe there would have been any malice intention from the filmmakers, but that's not the point. The point is, how did it make him feel?
Well, yeah, exactly right. But that is the thing. It's like, well, these are the things that are just so common that people do so often without thinking about it. Yeah. And I think this is more so bringing that to the light and saying this shit's got to stop.
Yeah. And it's like any sort of harassment. Like, I might play a joke on you and I think it's just a bit of fun, but you get offended by it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's because it's affected you that it becomes relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
Although there was no intention in it. Now, whether there was or there wasn't, I doubt there was, but it's how he's perceived it and how he's taken it.
So
that is the point.
It's all valid. I think good on him. Yeah, I mean, power to him and whatever else. And like he's got his own production company too, I believe. So even if he can't find work at the studios, he'll have work. I mean, Tom Cruise, studios wouldn't touch him for years. Oh, so he started his own production company, and it was after that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and then
it was after that.
Started bankrolling his own movies. So it was his only way to get work. So, but like, I don't think like he's not going to get blacklisted by Hollywood or anything like that. I think he'll be totally fine. Movies are opening in cinemas. Not here in Victoria.
No.
We are still in lockdown here.
Yeah, and we probably will be until the end of the month. So there's the rumour we're hearing.
By the sounds of it, yeah. But that hasn't stopped a few big movies opening, not only around the world, but in Australia, other parts of Australia. Over the last 2 weeks, we've had TENET opened up, Christopher Nolan's new film. We spoke about this briefly on the last show about TENET, which... we were saying looks really great, but there's been a mixed reception to that one. Now, obviously, we haven't had the chance to see these movies that I'm going to just briefly talk about here because we're in Victoria, and the studios aren't doing digital screeners for these big films. But yeah, there's been a mixed reception to that. Some are saying that it's Nolan's best work ever, and some are saying that it's just entirely like confusing and pretentious. A lot of complaints have come out about it being too loud. And the bass being really heavy. Like a lot of people saying they can't understand the dialogue. I've seen a lot of like tweets, which is like, can't wait to get it on home media so I can put the subtitles on.
Wasn't there a cinema in, is that the one with the cinema in
Singapore?
Singapore. Yeah.
Singapore, the ventilation system fell. It fell. It injured 2 people. It fell on 2 people. They're okay though. Not
turn the bass down, fellas.
But apparently a ventilation system fell out of the roof in a cinema in Singapore. But apparently that's not that uncommon.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently
in Singapore.
But apparently because they're so prone to like earthquakes and stuff, ventilation systems are well known to fall out of the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
My God.
But yeah, the bass was obviously like an earthquake ripping through the cinema and fell on 2 people, which is awful. But yeah, they were okay.
It's hilarious, but it's
yeah.
But it's
if they'd been seriously injured, it wouldn't be. But
no, that's right.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, mixed reception is. I don't know.
We can only go on what we've seen, and what we've seen is looks really good. But when we eventually get to see it, we can form a real opinion.
Exactly right. Bill and Ted. What's it called? The Bill and Ted's. I can't remember what it's called. Bill and Ted Face the Music. The third one, Bill and Ted Face the Music.
That looks really bad.
It looks awful.
But I'm hanging to see it.
Yeah, it looks so bad that it's going to be good. But also mixed reactions. Some people are saying it is amazing, and other people are saying it's just pure trash. But I think that's probably the point, because the Bill and Ted films never really took themselves seriously.
No, exactly
that's
right.
the whole point of it.
No.
So I don't know. Judging by the trailer, it looks like it's just a shitty film, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. It is available on demand.
Sounds like it's going to be in that same category as Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh, yeah, I reckon. Oh, man, that movie. I haven't watched that in forever.
That is so bad. It's hilarious.
Such a great movie because it's so shit. That is available on demand, streaming in the USA. So I know there's probably people going to be saying, why don't you just get the streaming? Well, it's not available in streaming in Australia. They only opened it in cinemas here. So Madman was the distributor of that here in Australia, I believe, and they put it in cinemas. Not here in Victoria, though, unfortunately.
Nope.
The other big one we're going to miss out on is New Mutants, which is the final Fox X-Men movie. This is a movie that's been in production hell for 3 or 4 years. It was supposed to come out 2 years ago. Then it was supposed to come out a year ago. Or it was supposed to come out 3 years ago. Then it was supposed to come out 2 years ago. Then Disney bought out Fox, and then they pushed it again. And it's had 4 or 5 release dates.
It's going to be terrible.
Finally, they've dropped it. Well, interestingly enough, most people that I've heard have seen it actually says it's not that bad.
How can it be not bad when it's been through so many hands?
I don't know. But apparently, we've only just started watching the X-Men films. I wanted to do a ranking video for it to coincide with New Mutants, but I spoke to my contact at Disney, and they're not doing digital screeners for films that are going to the cinemas. So I just thought it's not really worth it. But we start watching the movies anyway
because we never really got into the X-Men.
No,
we never really watched them. We bought them all.
Yeah,
we bought them all.
Oh, we've been buying them as they come out,
but have never really sat down and watched them. We just recently started sort of going through them. And
that's the crazy thing. When we were watching the first one, X-Men, the other day, like it came out in 2000. Like it's this 20-year-old film. So I grew up with. I remember watching them when I grew up. X-Men 1, 2, 3, the Wolverine Origins, but they weren't things that I loved, and they were like, I think rewatching them now is almost like watching new films. I reckon I only watched them each maybe once. Whereas stuff like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man, I was watching constantly. But yeah, so I'm not in a huge rush to see New Mutants. But it's going to be interesting, and we will see it eventually because we're making our way slowly through the X-Men films. Yeah. I want to do like a ranking video for that, but we'll see. I think we had a question about X-Men too, which we'll get to later. Or do we address that now? I'm going to address it later. No, address it now while we're talking about the X-Men. Someone did send in a question about the X-Men. If I wrote it down, I think it might have been from Blake.
Blake, long-time viewer and Patreon. Yeah. We've dealt with Blake for
a long time. He's been there since the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Really appreciate all the support from Blake, and he's a patron, of course. So he's sending out.
Always hops on when you do live chats as well.
Absolutely, always. Yeah, great guy.
Okay, so his question was, with New Mutants, with new with New Mutants rounding out the Fox Marvel X-Men films, how quickly would you like to see, and how soon would you think realistically the X-Men will join the MCU?
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? Well, I don't know. That's crazy. Well, because they've obviously New Mutants is the last of that Disney. It was that last of that Fox set of X-Men films, and I think they're probably going to want to leave a bit of a breather before introducing characters. Obviously, they're going to like wipe the timeline. I think they're probably going to leave a bit of a breather between reintroducing them. Obviously, recasting these characters again. You got to recast Wolverine. You got to recast all of them. But then again. We've got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out. That's like one of the next few films, like 3 or 4 films down the line. Apparently they're talking about that like opening up the whole multiverse. They've got Sam Raimi directing it, who did the original 3 Spider-Man films. Yep. And apparently what they're going to do is they're going to try and do like almost like what DC is doing with the Flashpoint thing, where it's like all multiverses. There's these rumors now saying that Doctor Strange is going to open up all these multiverses into the old Marvel films. So it could give the chance for Tobey Maguire to return as Superman. Andrew Garfield comes through as... sorry, not Superman, Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield comes through as Spider-Man. And then maybe that's their way of introducing the X-Men.
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe they won't recast. I think it would be a good idea to recast because, again, we haven't seen them, but apparently the last few films were just like highly... not great, and they were a bit problematic, especially with the timeline and stuff. So I think it would be good to steer clear of that. But I don't know. I think 3-year breather maybe is probably a good idea. Probably. And then we'll see them come through and whatever else. But what we have seen is Mulan, which we're actually recording this on Friday, and this releases tonight. We did get an early screener for this because this was for Disney Plus, so it was a streaming thing anyway. So Disney Plus team and the Disney theatrical team are both kind of separate at the moment. I've got contacts for like it used to be you just dealt with like 1 or 2 people from Disney, but now you got to deal with someone or a couple of people from Disney, a couple of people from Fox, Lucasfilm, and all like the subsidiaries, Marvel. Then you've got a team doing Disney Plus. You've got a team doing Disney Channel. It's just so many teams to do. It's crazy. So they all kind of operate on their own different sort of levels. So yeah, the Disney Plus guys did give us the screener for Mulan. Loved it. Thought it was great. What do you think? You watched it too?
I'm not really a Mulan fan. I never really watched the animated.
You probably never would have seen it. It's not one I ever watched that
and
much.
I'd sort of seen bits and pieces, but it never captured me. But I've got to say, I really enjoyed the film, the live action one. I actually really enjoyed it.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was
really beautifully shot.
Stunning.
and culturally very sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
I thought.
Well, they got rid of, you saw the animation or bits of it because I watched it the day after to do my ranking video. So they got rid of stuff like the talking dragon, Mushu, and the songs and like the ancestor characters, which were, comedic, silly characters that were just a bit, all the racially insensitive things they got rid of. I think it's just such a really beautiful, culturally sensitive version of the story. And it not only draws on that, it obviously takes the Disney version of the story, but then also goes back to the original poem or the original legend to sort of be more culturally appropriate. So I think it's a nice balance between the two.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a really good film. And
I thought the performances were great too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I was really
Really
shocked at, was it Jet Li?
Jet Li, yeah.
I was really shocked it was him. I just couldn't, I thought, my
Amazing.
God, is it Jet
Yeah.
Li?
yeah, like
Yeah, I
really
just
good.
couldn't-
Donnie Yen,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Lu Yafai, who plays Mulan, was amazing as well.
She was amazing.
Just a really great. I loved it. I think it's one of the best Disney remakes. And I've got
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I've got a couple of Mulan videos coming up too on the channel. We'll talk about that just at the end. We're running a little short on time now. Try and keep these into like an hour length time. Trying to pack a lot of stuff in here. But yeah, a lot of people have one of the big issues people have with Mulan is that what kind of precedent does this set? Does this mean all my, the big Disney movies that are supposed to be coming out, does that mean they're now coming out digital only? They're not coming to cinemas? Well, I got a release schedule from Disney sent to me like Monday or Tuesday, pretty much confirming all the big movies that are coming out or that are planned to come out are still releasing theatrically. I think Mulan is just like an exception, just like we can't keep putting this thing off, or it's just going to keep pushing everything back and everything back and everything back.
Do you think they'll put it out in cinema eventually?
I feel like because
Maybe IMAX
I feel like because there's that IMAX optimized version, especially here in Melbourne, they're always reissuing films at the IMAX. So they just played Interstellar recently, and they play Inception, and like Jurassic Park's always playing there. All these IMAX optimized films, they do reissue. I feel like it'll probably get a small run at the IMAX, if not like a couple of screenings. I don't know. Maybe it'll open wide, like at all cinemas just for a small window. I feel like that we will have a chance to see it in cinemas at some point. And it would be disappointing if we didn't, because it's an amazing spectacle and deserves to be seen in cinemas.
It'd be fantastic in IMAX.
It'd be bloody awesome in IMAX.
The scenery and the way, the way it was shot, and it's just beautiful.
Incredible. So all these big Black Widow, Free Guy, Soul, West Side Story, Eternals, Kingsman, Ryan the Last Dragon, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Cruella, Luca, Jungle Cruise, The Beatles Get Back, among many others, Fox titles, are all still coming out theatrically. So don't worry about that just yet. I just feel like this is like an exception. It's like, here's some new, fresh entertainment while we figure out what the hell is going on with COVID and everything. Let's just give them something to enjoy. We discussed it a bit more in the pilot episode if you want to go back and listen to that. We are running short on time. We'll take one more question here and then we'll just sort of wrap it up.
So there was one there from... Where is it?
Just here.
Lost it somewhere. Jeff, wasn't it?
Yeah. Patron, sort of right down the bottom there. Jeff says, there he is.
There he is. Oh, sorry about that. Bit of dead air.
Yeah.
Long time. He's also a long time viewer as well.
Yeah, and a patron.
Patreon. You have the ability to pick a handful of actors and actresses from any time period. You also have an unlimited budget, no constraints on time, so you can mix and match, e.g. Robin Williams, Jerry Lewis. What are you doing with it? Would it even be a movie, animated maybe? And don't think too much on it. Just the first thing that comes to your head.
Well, I was going to say, this is a very big question for 1 minute left, but he says, don't even think about it. Who are we going with? Let's say Robert Downey Jr. and Robin Williams starring in some drama. It's got to be a drama because they both have, like, Robin Williams did some really great dramatic stuff. I think it'd be interesting to see them both sort of like play on that kind of dramatic thing. Maybe like a black comedy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
maybe a good cop, bad cop.
Buddy cop, yeah.
A buddy film.
That would be interesting,
A buddy
yeah.
film would be really interesting with
There
them.
you go. Oh, there you go. That's our idea there.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad at all.
I think so. And with that, though, unfortunately, that is all that we've got time for today. Thanks so much for joining us. I think we had a really good show. Again, once again, if you have any questions for me, you can write into the show by shooting me an email at daveleepod@gmail.com. Get in touch with me on social media. I'll do a shout out every week on my YouTube community board. That's if you want to submit questions and stuff like that. Of course, you can find me on YouTube at Dave Lee Down Under, Twitter, Instagram. Just search me, I will pop up. This episode is going out on all podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're working on Google Podcasts. Our visual element is also available on YouTube, which goes out 2 days early to the Patreon supporters. So if you'd like to support the podcast, the YouTube channel, the brand, www.patreon.com/Dave Lee Down Under. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. The video version goes out to patrons a couple of days earlier, and then it all becomes available on the Monday. This week on YouTube, my Mulan review, that's gone up, that's already up. I'm going to do a ranking of 4 Mulan movies, Disney live-action remakes ranked. It's a new version. It's not an updated one. I've actually gone back to scratch and done it because I know people get a bit annoyed if I just update an existing video.
Lazy.
Yeah, it is a bit lazy. I'm also working on my next Evolution video, which launches next week, covering Yosemite Sam from the Looney Tunes. So once again, thanks for joining, old mate Rick.
No problem.
And thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Stay safe. Stay at home.
See
Do
you
all
on the
the
next
right
one.
things.
Take care.